I would like to begin by acknowledging the traditional custodians of the land on which we meet today, the Arakwal people of the Bundjalung Nation, and pay my respects to the elders past, present, and emerging. Are you ready to win at the game of life? Well, throw out that rulebook and get down to the business of being the best and most authentic version of you. Welcome to the Human Design Podcast. We're changing the rules around success, abundance, purpose, love, and life, where we're creating a planet where everyone can thrive in a world that loves and supports each other. I'm your host, Emma Dunwoody, a qualified master coach, human design expert, podcaster, and entrepreneur that is living the life of my dreams, breaking all the rules while doing it, making a huge impact, and living my design and manifesting miracles on the daily. Join me as I break down and simplify everything you need to live in alignment with your human design, teach you how to recondition your unconscious mind for greatness, and to take back your power so you can manifest your heaven on earth and serve the rest of the planet at the same time. It's time to give up the fear and step into your highest potential, to reach for the stars, to know and live your greatness. It's what you deserve, and it's what the planet really needs from you. So buckle up and enjoy the ride. If you use human design in your business in any way, stop what you're doing because you're going to want to hear this. I want to tell you about something we use in this business that has been responsible for bringing in nearly 25,000 new leads and over 6 figures in revenue in a completely automated and passive way. It's not too good to be true, so stay tuned. That incredible thing is the BodyGraph chart software. This is the total tool that allows us to put a human design chart generated on our website so we don't have to send people to another website for their chart. The best part is we can offer our customers the information we want them to have. If you know me, you know I have a different take on human design, and I want to make sure that the language is empowering, useful, and actionable. With BodyGraph chart, we can customize everything from the reading reports, chart links, and follow-up emails to make sure that they contain the information written and curated by me, so I know each person is in good hands. As for the tech, that's totally Taylor's thing, but from what she tells me, it's super easy to use and set up, and their customer service is incredibly helpful. It's really affordable as well, especially because you get a 50% off for 1 year as a listener of this podcast. Just visit the link in the show notes and use the code Human Design Podcast, all lowercase. It's by far one of the biggest investments in our business and gives us powerful automation technology that allows us to focus on the bigger picture. I cannot recommend it enough. Go check out the show notes for all the details. Hey everyone, and welcome to today's episode. Well, it's that time of the month where we are going to be talking all things transits with the awesome Yvette Mayer.
Hello, I am excited. One of my favourite things I do every month is join you, Emma.
Oh my God, I'm pumped. Meanwhile, the transits have kicked my ass in the last 7 days. I was scrolling through Instagram and I saw someone that I follow talking about how, you know, we're sandwiched between 2 eclipses and it's all this dark night of the soul. And I'm like, oh, thank fuck. Like, I have been living this life of memories from childhood I literally haven't thought of for years. And I mean, I've spent years investigating my unconscious mind. Just all these patterns showing up, all this mum stuff showing up, all these like real life 3D challenges that I'm like, what the fuck? Where did these come from? Like, it's been hard. So,
well, I did listen to your most recent podcast as we record this, and I was very conscious that this was all going down, in particular during Gate 6. So the Gate 6 brings up friction to be healed, really, to reach a place of peace and harmony. And I think that's in yourself.
Yeah, I've got the 6. Yeah, the 6 is in my, I think it's in my, I've got to think about it. I think it's my personality moon or something. It's a significant player somewhere, but yeah, and it's really interesting because it's almost been like reverse conflict for me, like I know that I'm not big into conflict. Like, I'm not really that sort of a person, but I'm really good at managing conflict or other people's conflict, like these higher expressions of it. But this last 7 days, it's almost been reversed. Like, it's been passive aggressive, shut down, like banging my head against a wall, trying to communicate. Like that's like that six trying to break through, like
Yeah.
trying to get through. And
Yeah.
just getting to that realization of I'm just running my old pattern of trying too hard, taking too much responsibility, like all of this shit. And it's so funny. I keep talking about this tattoo that I'm getting a few new tattoos, but one of them is a dove right on my heart chakra.
Wow.
And this morning I went into my PT, and Sammy and I, Sammy's like, oh, I booked in the tattoo artist so we can go do it. I'm like, of course you did. I'm like, I literally want that dove on me now, yesterday.
Yeah.
I'm so driven by peace, being a manifesting generator as well,
Yeah, yeah. And you've got the 3420. Yeah, I always think you've got a lot of manifestor in you. And then the 6 is also, it's the intimate relationship conflict, isn't it?
Yeah.
So it's very telling.
Well, I think the big thing for me is that I had found, a really, really comfortable place with my ex. We had beautiful boundaries. I mean, again, we are not fighting per se or aggressive or anything like that. However, he's very shut down. Like, he won't have a conversation with me now.
Yeah.
And he just acts like everything's sweet. And, we've always just been co-parents. Like, we never were actually in a relationship together, which feels really awkward and uncomfortable, but whatevs.
Yeah.
But last week that dynamic changed because, something came up with one of our kids. So we actually had to meet in person and have, very different conversations. And it was really uncomfortable and really, really challenging. And because I'm a person everywhere else in my life, and, a lot of the relationship with him, I'm very open and transparent. I have this whole principle is I'd rather know the truth than you keep a secret from me. Like, let's just have a conversation. And, I'm very understanding, and I'm very balanced, and I don't fly off the handle. And last week he called out stuff that and it was funny because 3 friends in the same day did the same image of, like, it's like he knows the holes and they're sticking his finger in the pain holes of your aura. And I'm like, fuck, that's exactly how it feels. And like, I think that's the thing that was really challenging for me last week, is that in a time where I needed us to actually come together and work together as a team again, when I kind of thought that's what we'd agreed to do, that we'd work as a team, I discovered that it's just a facade for him. Like, he talks about it being a team, but it's not actually a team. Like, we're not having a two-way conversation. We're having a one-way conversation, and it's whatever is coming out of my mouth, and he's doing all of his things, like he's pulling out all of his negotiation training, the way he holds his body, the way he and I'm like, dude, you know me so well. Like, I can read the room in every second.
Read you like a book.
Yeah. Like, so for me, it was that week where all of this, I don't know, like the ground shifted underneath me. And it's that real realization, and this is so me being honest and vulnerable, that I was still in it. I was still trying to take responsibility, and I was still trying to lead and be, really conscious. And, but I just got hit with all my mother stuff, like it was with mum. God knows I loved her, but it was like talking to a brick wall. Like, she was an immovable force. And it didn't matter who I was or how hard I tried or how much I demonstrated that I could help or serve or support. It was just like none of it landed anything. So going through
6, right?
Going through that with our youngest son, it was really fucking challenging. And I'm still in that place now where I'm like, well, great. Now I have to reestablish the boundaries that we did have. And and all of those things. So yeah, it's been a tough week, but it was really interesting because I got to a point where I just jumped into Chat GPT and I was like, right, dude, you need to tell me everything that's going on astrologically. You need to tell me
ChatGPT helped
everything.
you.
Exactly. I did, like, totally. It even gave me a game plan of how to manage it
Oh
and
my
move
God,
through
that
it.
is
I was like,
amazing.
I'm just loving it. So
Well, I will say this from an outside perspective, like September for you, amazing. Big trip to the UK, multiple book launches. And I think it's really important and so valuable to your listeners that you are sharing
yeah.
both. There's so much polarity. Like, you have kicked so many goals. And I know that you're in many ways living the life that you dreamed of.
Yeah.
And at the same time,
I still get my ass kicked,
absolutely.
I do think the other thing that I want to say to that is I am so aware that I'm going to the next level. Like, the things that are showing up in my life, I'm like, what the fuck? Like, this is no longer my dreams. This is beyond my wildest dreams.
Yeah.
And I think that so much of this hard stuff that I'm going through, it's just the up level. It happens every single time I declare to the universe, so I want to know my potential. I want to see how many people I can help. I want to really see, da, 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 da.
Yeah.
So inevitably I have to clean up and heal, like we all do, the things that have kept us at that lower level. So I think it's just that, for me, it's just a huge reminder of boundaries. I don't have any other relationship in my life anymore that represents my mother. Like, it's just my ex and my mum, and mum's gone now, but I just want to heal whatever that is. I want to get to this place of neutrality, of total acceptance of the relationship as it is now, as the acceptance of him as he is now, not wanting him to be more or different or any of those things. Like, I just want to get to that place. So
Neutrality,
yeah,
nervous system is fine.
exactly. And that's exactly it. Nervous system is fine. Like, I was saying to someone last week, put me across from Luke's story and tell me to talk about stuff, and I am sweet. But put me in the same room with my ex, and I'm just like, what the fuck? Like, this is not me. Like, I am the ex that usually is like, oh, we're sweet, we're fine. Like, anyway, clearly I just need
You're
to
an emotional
heal something.
being, Emma.
I am. Oh fuck, I'm an emotional being. True
Let's
that.
be real. I don't know that you can heal your emotions. You can just turn them down a little bit, maybe.
Yeah, I think it's the triggers for me,
It
Yeah,
makes
but
sense.
it's fascinating. Also, given everything that I teach, it's so fascinating watching how I react so differently when I'm under a lot of stress.
Yeah.
And it's really made me think about, my HDX community and what I want to teach after we do the business stuff. Obviously, we'll continually be doing business stuff, but I really want to get back to the person, the individual, because so many people out there are just experiencing so much stress. And I don't experience that anymore. Like, I've not felt like this for so long. And I just realized how, all of a sudden my strategy and authority, I was like, oh, thank fuck, old friend, that you're there, like that I knew not to react, that like I had text messages and emails written out, but I was like,
I'm
nah,
ready to attack.
yeah. And I was like, nah, I'm going to sleep on it. It's going to be fine. So it's really, motivated me, like intrinsically motivated me to really go deeper on this for everyone else, to really help. Let's really learn how to, like, I've gone back to doing so much forgiveness work. I actually just interviewed, hasn't been put out yet, but Dr. Peter Stapleton, who is all about EFT tapping. She also did a bunch of research with Dr. Joe Dispenza. So I've been doing a bit of tapping. Like, I've gone back to my roots, if you like. So there's so much stuff that I really, really, really want to share with the world, because I feel like understanding the stress piece is a game changer.
And I will. I mean, look, sometimes you're just in a different good mood. And this morning I really had this realization of just how happy I am at the moment. And I really do attribute it to being aligned to my design. Like, I'm like, I've made so many tough decisions this year, like really hard decisions, essentially because my sacral has supported that decision and because I've let go of things that were draining me, blocking me, and hard things, like really hard things, but in service of what I really want. And I know that that's why I feel so happy at the moment. So yeah, I think you're
I
right.
so agree. And I think that's the journey, like getting to that place of, I actually love that I'm going through this really challenging thing. And the old me would have just put the armor on and just like shut it all down and, put the mask on, where
Yeah.
I am so proud of myself for just being me through the whole experience.
Yeah.
And, like I think, as you said, like I am where I am today because I have learned to be authentically me and to trust my own authority and the authority of the universe, and that I will be put in the right place with the right people at the right time for the right opportunities. And, you know, that doesn't mean that everything is sunshine and rainbows, but what it does mean is that when you find yourself in a challenge like I've been in, um, I know I've got this. I know that this is not the end of the world. I know that even a month from now, I'll be like, oh, that blip back there, like that
Yeah.
was nothing. And I know that this is a golden opportunity. Like this is something that, is in my DNA. This is something that I would guess my mum gave to me from her lineage, that it's time to heal. And if once I heal it in me, it doesn't go on to the next generation,
Yeah.
And I really feel like that's a lot of what's going on, even having this challenge with my youngest. I feel like it's part of that. Like
Yeah.
this part of my ancestral line, it's time to heal this part.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
it's going to heal.
Ends with you.
Exactly. This ends with me, mate.
Yeah. Good job. Well, on that topic, let's talk a little bit about what's coming up. I think our conversation around the 6 will do it for September. I'm sure there was some good energy for you all in there as well. But what I am loving that we're leaning into as we come into October is it's an entire month of splenic gates.
Woo.
Yeah, and I don't know that even with what you're talking about, like well-being, instinct for survival, the sense of everybody having the right to be well and regulated, I would even say as well. It feels like really a beautiful shift into a different energetic season.
Yeah.
It's also like even the fact that October is a really seasonal month. Depending on where you are in the world, but for most people, it's like you're really afoot in two different types of weather, and if you're like us, we're coming into summer, so it's like layers off, getting fit, getting out, and then if you're in the northern hemisphere, it's more like putting the things in place to hibernate, and that's a different type of survival instinct. So I think that the energy is very supportive, shall we say.
I love that. And
that.
because I'm going to be in Bali for 10 days in October, so I'm pumped. That's all about, it's our invitation only retreat, but also I get to have some time with my girls either end of it. So yeah, that feels like
So
a well-being.
good.
Yeah.
So good. And I think we'll all feel a little different as we kind of move through the energies that are coming up. And intuition. I mean, I know how important that is, but it does take for all of us, for us to really get into our intuition, we have to let go those words again. It's like we have to let go of the hanging on to the mind stuff and the attachment to shoulds and woulds and blah. And connect into more of what our body's telling us.
Yeah, you're so spot on. It's interesting. I was listening to a podcast this week, and the guy I was listening to referenced someone else, a grief expert. And the grief expert, he talks about grief is actually something that we experience when something we thought was going to happen didn't happen. And I feel like that's kind of where a lot of the world is at right now, like we're all experiencing, or so many of us are experiencing this grief. Maybe who we thought we were going to be, a relationship we thought we were going to have, a business we thought we'd have, a career we thought we have, and we're in this place. And I really feel like the energy that can feel challenging is always this opportunity to move past that, to go, okay, yeah, well, that didn't happen, and I'm willing to heal that, but it's also opening that door to, okay, well, if it's not that, then what is it? And I think that's where the magic starts to seep in. And I love that we're going into a month of the body and wellness and instinct and really getting back to, biofeedback, like really starting to listen to the body more. I think that's freaking
Yeah.
epic.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's a good energy. And it doesn't mean it's a high vibe or anything, but it's a more nurturing and nourishing kind of energy to move through.
Bring it on.
Bring it on. So let's talk major planets, and this is going to be quick because we have had the same gates in the major planets for the last couple of months and they're not moving. So Jupiter stays in the 45 all month long, which we like because it's, kind of abundance, one half of the money channel. We're like, yay, we want to be supported prosperity-wise, and Jupiter does bring that. Mm-hmm. The Saturn is staying in the 63. Doubt, inquiry, maybe that's a bit more challenging. It's kind of a challenging energy inside of a challenging planet, still hanging around. And then the nodes are continuing with the 18 in the South Node, which we're also, as we record this, we're coming into the 18 very shortly in the South, and that's in the South Node as well. And then the North Node in the 17. We kind of spoken about this. The 18, if you look at it as on a journey, the 17 is a more expansive, open possibility type of energy. So we like them being kind of that way around. 55, it's very briefly popping up in the moon transit, few hours, so we won't go into that in a lot of detail. But outside of that, the real theme is going to be this splenic month. And it starts off, the month starts off with the 18. So we've spoken about the 18. I remember we talked about this last month, and I kind of told you the story about how I was feeling all this self-judgment, and I won't go back into that, but that's just a couple of days at the beginning of the month. Then we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 splenic gates in a row, starting from the 3rd of the month with the 48. 48.
Wow, I thought I'd already gone to the depths. Mother.
Yeah, straight into the bottom of the well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I always think of this gate as a little bit like a line 1 gate because it's like the depths. It's about deep wisdom, deep knowledge. I think as it pertains to things like business and marketing, it really is a time when you showcase that you are an expert and that you do have the depth of what you stand for and what you offer. It's also I would say it's a more positive energy partly because I think it connects to the 16 through to the throat. And so when you think about those together, it's like mastery and skills being projected from the throat. So that's the kind of energy when you bring those two together.
Yeah, I think the other thing that I want to add with the 48 is like this is the 48 is also like the divine feminine wound, like of inadequacy. It's the fear of actually looking into the depths of who we are, the fear of looking into our shadows. And when we're willing to look into those shadows, that's where we discover this incredible depth and wisdom.
Wow.
It's like when we look beyond fear, we actually discover the power. And for me, the 48 really resonates because I feel like it's the energy of the panther, and the panther is my, primary totem.
Yeah.
Because it's like, what is beyond fear? What's the depth beyond fear? And I feel like, if you talk about the 48 and the 16 together, I feel like, well, when we go to the depths and we really discover who we are, what we know, what is, true, then we bring that back and we bring light and enthusiasm to it, and we practice it and we build it and we we create skills, and then we become the master. It's like beyond the learning. So
I'm loving this.
yeah.
Loving it.
So yeah, I love it.
Oh, yeah. I have this in my Uranus in both my design and my personality. And, that kind of is what differentiates you. And I so relate to everything you're saying, like going to the depths and the shadows within me.
Yeah. Yeah, it's that moving beyond, moving beyond what you think is possible. The thing that where fear has kept you,
Yeah, absolutely. So good. So I didn't actually know that about the divine feminine wisdom, but you've got me curious to learn a bit more about that now. So we're going to follow that from around the 8th of the month with the 57. 57 is an energy that I do not have this in my own chart, but I have some sort of strange obsession with the 57. I think it's because it's one of those gates that I rely on as every time that I read a chart for somebody, I almost know whether they're going to have the 57 or not before I look at their body graph based on who they are and what they do for work and what they stand for, because at least 90% of people that have ever come to me that are in the intuitive, mystical kind of arena, and we're all spiritual people really that are attracted to human design. So it's a lot of people that come to me. They've all got the 57. And I'm always like, of course you've got the 57, because this is, well, it's the gate of intuition. So it's of all the spleen, even though it's all kind of an intuitive center, this is where it really lives. And it's not just about intuition, it's also about connection to spirit, like actually having that divine connection and being aware of it, and gaining a lot of clarity around self and around others, hence why those that I have worked with that are more psychic or things like that tend to have this gate as well.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that you have this. I actually just quickly was madly looking at your chart in the background to see if you had it in your Chiron or something like that. So,
no, I don't have it. But I just love it for some reason.
And do you know? Oh, I can look up your chart. Like, do you even in your sidereal chart? So as
I
much
haven't
as
looked at that.
If I can look it up quickly, I will.
Maybe I just like being around other people that have it because I feel the energy.
Well, I feel like there is, maybe. I don't know where to find the sidereal chart anymore. Hang on. No, I don't even know where to find it anymore in Genetic Matrix. But I often feel like we have certain obsessions with some
different gates.
But yeah, because I feel a real affinity to the 48. I don't have the 48.
Yeah.
But I do have the 16 in a really prominent place. So, it could be that. Like through the frame of the gene keys, they would say that's where the influence comes from. But the other thing you should look up, in fact, I probably can if I've got my password. I haven't looked up, but I won't do it now, is Kim always talks about your asteroids. So
I've listened to some of her stuff.
Depending on where the asteroids are, they can often give you, like I've actually got, in one of my bridge gates, I've got Kali. Excuse me. And so how that the 35 shows up for me is with Kali energy. Like it's really cool.
Another angle.
I'm not an expert in that, but the other thing that always fascinates me with the 57, like this is my 43 speaking in simplified terms, like the shadow of the 57 is like fear of the future. It's anxiety. But the more that you let go of the fear and you step into the gift and the intuition piece, the more access, like the more you listen to the body, the internal senses, we call them the clairs, the more access to your intuition you get. And then it becomes this like big, almost it goes out again. And it's like this energy that can even see the future, that has access to the future. So I feel, I don't know, like I love the 57 too. I think it's something really magical about that gate. There
And
really
it's
is.
also connected to 3 different centers.
Yeah.
So, it's got a lot
It's pretty powerful.
it's
Yeah.
got a lot of power.
Yeah. It's got a lot going on.
I'm going looking to see where in something side reel, whatever, I'm
Yeah.
going to find it.
Yeah. Yeah. You'll find it. It'll be
I'll
there
find it.
somewhere.
I'll let you know. So the 57, that's going to stick around to the middle of the month. And then we move into the 32. Feels a little heavier, I think, than the 57. I mean, it's still a splenic gate. Connects through to the 64. I always think of this one, it's known as the gate of duration and continuity, or duration or continuity. I think of it as playing the long game, like actually patience, persistence, seeing the bigger picture, not being overly reactive and putting one step in front of the other.
Yeah, it's that whole channel's really powerful. I work with a lot of people that have got the channel of ambition. It's really, really powerful. You think about the 57, that feels really feminine to me. The 32 feels pretty masculine to me.
Yeah, yeah.
That shadow of the fear of failure sits in there.
Yeah.
But yeah, the people I know that have that energy, they're very powerful people. They're really good at, like you say, like playing the long game, but with meaning and expansion and ambition. And like, it feels very masculine.
Yeah, I agree. So that's going to move through until around the 20th. And then we are coming into one I know very well, which is the Gate 50. Gate 50, it sits in my personality earth, so it's quite present for me. But I will say that I've been contemplating it more lately than ever before. I think because I put so much put so much focus on my personality sun versus the earth, that I haven't given it enough oxygen, if you like, to really work its magic on me. But it has dawned on me recently. I'm like, of course that's what is there. Because if I'm not well and healthy, then nothing else works.
Yep.
And that's really what the 50 is about. Like, it's the gate of values, but it's valuing well-being, right?
Well, I think it's also like valuing, like when we think about, I always think about the incarnation cross of, what's that one? I'm pretty sure it's Lucy, our coach, Lucy's cross.
I know it's in the cross of wishes.
Laws.
Mine. Laws, and they're very similar. Yeah.
So, and it's this real like our values are our internal laws. It's about changing. Yeah. It's like so I feel like that's what the 50 plays a really big role as like because this is the one that in the original knowledge we talk about. It's the teenagers. It's what we teach the teenagers to go out in the world. Like, what are the values? What are the standards? What are the personal or tribal laws that we're here to live by?
Yeah.
So I think one of the things, and the fact that would be in your radiance or your personality, your design sun, like so much of that and so much of your story is about going from a life that you're living by other people's laws or values to really defining a life by your own values, and like you've just said, you haven't felt as good in your body. You haven't felt as happy for such a long time. And maybe that is because, that 50, like you're living your values, your rules, laws.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I just to cover this off, because I didn't, this is another splenic gate. It connects into the sacral. And I think this is really important in our business and in our marketing, that we know our values and that we communicate them regularly, because it's like our vibe attracts our tribe, right? When it comes to values, when you align with values, then you are attracting the right people towards you.
Oh my God, I love that so much, because you've just given me a little breakthrough with the challenging stuff, because of course I've got the 50 as well, and I just looked at where it was. It's in my Uranus.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I think that that's the big challenge that I'm going through right now, is that I have a values alignment. So the word I used before is I'm in integrity in every other relationship.
Yeah.
And I think that that's the piece, you know.
Out
So
of
if my
alignment with values.
exactly, so my 50 is in the line. I've got 50 line 5 in Uranus, like so.
So it's a part of your differentiation as well.
Exactly, like unique values. And I have always thought I'm a little bit odd. I've always wanted to live life a little bit differently. I've,
Yeah.
put a lot of that down to my line 3. But it's funny, I do have a lot of old-fashioned values, especially around family.
Mm.
And some of them are really beautiful and profound, and I think some of them have been really unresourceful and perhaps kept me in a relationship a lot longer than I should have been there
Yeah.
because, I had that value of you stick it
You
out type of
stay.
thing. But yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
learned
That's
that
so
lesson.
interesting. Yeah. So that's from the 25th. And then we've just got 2 more gates, and one's only for one day. But after the 50, we move into the 28. This has a more masculine energy to it as well, I think, even though it continues to be spleen. I think the ones that connect to the root are the ones that have a slightly more masculine energy, let's just call it.
Yeah, I reckon I'm kind of feeling into that, and I think you could be right. I think so. I think the 28 can go either way because the
Mm-hmm.
28 I feel like yeah. No, maybe
What brought it up for me is, I mean, it's called the game player. So it kind of, to me, it's more strategic than it is receptive. But,
true.
that's interpretation.
Yeah, true. I was thinking more from the angle of struggle, like
Mm.
but I don't think that really makes it masculine or feminine. I just feel like it's one of those gates that actually it's one of those gates when you move from victim to being in the power seat that it does feel like it's got power behind it. Like,
Yeah.
okay, well,
Yeah.
instead of being a victim and struggling and choosing to struggle, if I give this a different meaning, all of a sudden I have power. I can do something about it. So,
Yeah. It's like
yeah.
putting yourself into the challenge because you want the reward. And even though it's difficult, you put yourself into that situation, which is what we kind of all have to do with change and growth.
Yeah, tell me about it. I have the 28 too. Lucky me. I've got it in my Uranus on the other side.
Oh wow! Well,
On my
you got
personality
that. You've
side.
got both of these things as key differentiators about you. Yes, you were born for this stuff.
Great. I love it. I
Amazing.
love it. I love being
Yeah,
me. I love being me.
yeah, it's a blessing. So that energy is going to be the very end of the month, and then just on the 31st, we have the 44. Still in the spleen, quite different energy. It connects into the heart. So there's still a strong intuition in here as well. And I don't know, how do you feel about the 44? What brings up?
Well, the 44, I always think of, I think it's the gift of the 44 is teamwork. It feels like bringing everyone together. Like it's the oldest
Yeah,
gate in
yeah,
human design. So it goes back, like the history almost goes back to the beginning of time, like that real survival instinct,
mm,
splenic thing. And, it reaches to the 26th in that tribal energy. And it's like bringing the will center or the heart brings in like the material plane. So I don't know. It's a bit of a wise team player, a wise
yeah.
guide. I know so many people I've worked with a lot of people with the 44, and they for me they do amplify a lot of them the energy of the line 4. Like
Mm,
people and community and teamwork and relationships seem to be really important
wow.
as part of their. I suppose it is that survival, the how they see the world transforming.
And it does make sense when you think about the combination of the spleen and the heart.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah, I love that. Amazing. So that's the Sun transit. As for Mercury, this is a month where we kind of catch up. So at the beginning of the month, we're just taking over, if you like. So Mercury starts to be present ahead of the Sun with where the gates are. So this is what happens when we start potentially feeling some of this energy coming through. in advance of the gate being present because it's moving into that transit soon, and it's already sitting in Mercury. So these conversations may start coming up. You might be communicating and feeling this energy already.
Mm-hmm.
So essentially right through till the 22nd of the month, it's the same energies that we've already been speaking about. So it starts with the 48, then it goes into the 57, 32, 50, 28, 44. So it's all the same gates, but in a shorter period of time that are coming up in the sun. So these energies are going to be reinforced, I guess. And then at the end of this period, we start having gates in advance of the sun enough that we've got some fresh energies that we haven't spoken about yet. So
cool.
I got really emotional actually when I did this, just off topic, but I'll share it. So the next gate is gate 1 that's going to come at the beginning of November, but it comes through the Mercury transit on the 23rd, which brings me to a full year of releasing my YouTube episodes every 6 days.
Wow,
I
congratulations.
know it's really big. So at the end of October, I've released 64 episodes of my YouTube channel.
Wow.
And it's been a really, really big energetic. And at times I'll admit it's been a drain because it's just so much production. I mean, it's not like a podcast where you kind of, I don't know, you have to look good on camera, and I do it all in like my studio I built at home. It's a whole thing. Anyway, it's been such a beautiful blessing, and the way that I've gotten to know the transits and all the gates so intimately, it's added so much to my life.
Yeah.
But it feels like a really beautiful chapter is coming to not really an end, but a body of work that I'm incredibly proud of, and it has been that energy of, it's felt hard at times because it's been such a huge project to keep going. And I've had people say to me, you're not enjoying this enough, like you should stop. And I just trusted myself and had faith and kept going. And I know now, like without a doubt, that it was the absolute right thing to do.
You know, I love this because I think sometimes in the, human design world, the spiritual world, we're like, oh, it's just not meant to be like easy. And it's just not, because the person that you've become through this process is the person that's now capable to take on more, to have the success that you want to have. And that satisfaction of getting to the completion of that. And
the
like
emotions in me because of that, I'm like, ooh.
Yeah. And I think that this is the thing that people have to understand. Like, if you want to succeed at anything, you have to take small incremental steps every single day. And it's not going to be easy all the time. And it's why, why I really talk about sometimes we just need to lean on our strategy or our, not self and signature themes, because we need to differentiate between, oh my God, I'm just out of my comfort zone. Like my ego is screaming at me that this is too hard.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, like, I still feel the satisfaction. I can put myself in my future self knowing that it's all done, and like, whoa, I'm overwhelmed with emotion. I feel like this is incredible. There it is. There's my satisfaction. So
it's interesting though, especially because we're both generator types. I remember when we were together at the Human Design Australia conference back in May, and I was talking to some of the HDX girls about this. One of them in particular was like, you have to stop this. You're not lit up by it. And I'm like, I will not be stopping, just so you know. I get what you're saying, but you're right. Like, sometimes it doesn't matter as far as business goes and satisfaction. Like, things are uncomfortable.
Yeah. Well,
even as a generator, you can't say no to everything because it's not lighting you up every day.
Exactly. And it's that piece, like you have to understand the difference. You have to know the difference between being out of your comfort zone and being out of alignment.
Yeah.
Like,
look, I think what I've learned is that getting on camera for me is not what I want to build my business behind.
Yeah.
That's what I've learned.
Yeah.
But I'm really proud of myself and the work.
Yeah.
So it's both.
Yeah. And I think that that's the beauty of it. Like, I always talk about, you remember when, I don't know if we were doing it at the same time. But remember when I did the LinkedIn thing where I had like 90 days, like that was one of the hardest things I've ever done. But I was really proud of myself because it taught me so much, you know?
Yeah.
And for you now have something that most people will not do. Like
I
most
know.
people
And
do not have the drive to do it.
I feel emotional because I'm like, you know, like things like my transit reports now, I can link every single gate to a video explanation as well.
Yeah.
Like it's actually it's huge, and I knew that I would feel this way. Yeah. But anyway, I better get back to these transits.
But I love it. Like it is. I think it's really helpful for people listening, you know, because ultimately growth is uncomfortable, and that's why human design is so powerful, because it gives us these indicators, strategy, authority, our not self theme, our signature theme, you know, understanding the shadows and the gifts through the gene keys, like really getting to know ourselves at such a deep level that we don't question our path, even though our ego might be screaming at us and we think, shit, is that me not being lit up? Like we doubt ourselves, we get in our own way. But if we can just come back to something simple like that feeling of satisfaction when you get to the end, like it's beautiful. Like that's the whole point, right?
Yeah. Business isn't easy.
It's not easy.
It's not, but it's so rewarding.
Yeah,
and sometimes that reward you have to put in time and persistence to get to.
Yeah, and I think that this is the thing. That's why my principle, or you know, that driving identity belief for me was I have to be willing to do the things most people aren't willing to do.
Yeah,
you know, and it's so rewarding. The freedom at this end, and
so good.
You know, I keep pushing the boundaries. You know, for me, you know, I'm not going through a bumpy week because, you know, it's just a random bumpy week. It's because I've declared I want to know my potential. I want to have this epic relationship. So I'm going to clean up my shit, man. You know, like
letting go.
And it's the same with business. You know, like you guys, you've got this. Like if you have that seed inside of you that wants to make an impact through the work that you do, then you have everything you need. It just means that sometimes you're going to be crawling and sometimes you're going to be flying and sometimes it'll be somewhere in between. But it's all good, you know, like every single piece of it is valuable. And, you know, oftentimes there's certain guests that I want to get on the podcast. And in the beginning, Amanda would go, oh, look, they said no, or blah, blah, blah. I said, oh, it's all right. I'm not there yet. I'm not who I need to be to interview that guest. And in every case, it's come around, you know, that person's come around again.
That's so amazing.
So I think that that's the thing that we have to understand in life and in business is that every day we're becoming the version of us that can receive what we're creating. But we can't just decide we want, you know, a multiple 7-figure business because we have to become the human that can create that can be that, can hold that, can grow from that. So yeah, I really think that your story is so incredibly important for people because it's not just about, you know, feeling lit up every single day. It's about really knowing yourself so well that you can go, yep, it probably doesn't feel like I have a lot of energy for this right now. Let me just sit with myself. Yep, satisfaction is still the governing feeling in my body when I imagine myself at the end.
At the end. I love it. That is such great advice as well. And very on theme, like with some of the gates that are showing up as well. At the 32, like this keeping going and persisting.
Yeah.
Important. Okay, so there's only 2 more gates coming through in Mercury to mention. We have the 43 coming through Mercury on the 26th of the month. So this one's in the throat center, connects through to the ajna, and we've had the 23 fairly recently as well. So breakthroughs and insights. So we're moving into some very different energy as we do come into November, and that's showing up in Mercury first. And then we have...
I love the 43. It's my vocation. It's my core talent. I just love the energy. And
originality.
Literally a person that's always like, oh my God, I had an epiphany. Like all the time. And my friends are like, wait for it. There's another epiphany.
Here it comes. Here she is. Yeah. Beautiful. And then we have one of my favorite gates after that I have is the 14. Possession in great measure. Give me some of that.
Yeah.
Not that I am incredibly motivated somewhat by things, but still it's a really lovely energy, and I think that brings some buoyancy as well. It's G center gate, connects through to the sacral. It's a good business and marketing gate, I would say.
Yeah. It's a beautiful, like, it's this, I always think it's like that beautiful, like, it's power skills, it's like when you are uniquely you doing the work that you love to do, the way you love to do it,
Yeah.
then you're ultimately like unstoppable and so magnetic. So I love it.
Yeah. Feeling that. So that's it for our October transits.
Cool.
Thank you, Emma. As always, it's been an absolute pleasure.
I've loved every second of it. I'm hoping that October is a little less bumpy, or at least I get the breakthroughs that I'm looking for.
Yes.
Or the healing that I'm looking for. I have really, really enjoyed this month. I don't know what's going on. Like, I've had a really good chat, haven't I? Like,
it's been awesome.
Bloody chatty Cathy over here. Loving it.
Loved it.
Well, for all of you listening, thank you so much for joining us. I trust you got what you needed from today's episode, and I so look forward to having you on the next one. Bye for now.
Bye for now.
Thanks, everyone, for being here all the way to the end of the podcast. I hope you got lots of value out of it. I certainly had a lot of fun doing it. Could I please ask that you share this podcast with friends if you found it valuable? And also, bonus points, could you leave a review for me as well on Apple? It would be greatly appreciated. If at any point you would like to be on the podcast, or you've got questions that you'd like me to discuss on the podcast, by all means get on my socials and DM me. Everything you need is there in the show notes. Have an awesome day. Bye for now.